New comic book day is right around the corner, so let's take a look at the books on my pull list. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the pull list. It's my weekly video series where I take a look at all the books coming out. This time, we're looking at Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. I'm going to tell you which books are on my pull list. I'll tell you what's on the chopping block because it's kind of a stacked week this week. And then we'll also talk about some new number ones that are on my radar. These are the books that I'm going to be buying when I walk into Fight or Flight Comics in Raleigh, North Carolina this Wednesday. Now, if you are in the area, I would highly encourage you to go ahead and follow their Instagram page. We're about to announce the date for the grand opening of the new Fight or Flight Comics location. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you can visit their regular store at 6320 Capitol Boulevard. You can walk in, you can get helped out by Dan, by Emily, or the new kid. He's like a tall white guy. Can't remember his name. Max! Anyway, they will all be happy to help you. Let them know that I sent you, and they'll treat you even more special than they would have normally. I'm joking. Everybody gets fair treatment over there at Fight or Flight Comics. But anyway, huge shout out to them for being my LCS and the sponsor of this show. Now, let's get into the books that I'm grabbing this week. None that I am more excited about than this is the first time this has ever happened. My pick of the week has never been a book that already existed, but this time it's a facsimile edition. This is the facsimile edition of the all-new collector's edition number C56, or as any normal human would know it, Superman versus Muhammad Ali, the classic Treasury edition, tabloid edition, written by Denny O'Neil with art by Neal Adams. Now, previously, I have only owned this book in one format, and that is this kind of tattered, beat up former library copy of the deluxe edition that DC released a few years back. And, you know, hey, it's cool. It's a seminal story. It's a what's that word? Foundational story when it comes to like representation in comics. If you're unfamiliar with the story, basically to stop an alien invasion, Earth has to choose a champion. And there's a debate over whether or not the champion should be Superman or Muhammad Ali. And so they battle it out in a boxing match heard around the world. And there are all sorts of cameos in here. Jimmy Carter's on the cover, just all sorts of cool stuff. I've only owned it in this one format. And one thing that you can't tell because, you know, my light is super bright or whatever, is that this format has been recolored. This is not what it originally looked like when it came out all those years ago. And so while it's still awesome and I'm glad I own it, my only chance at seeing this in its original condition would be to buy the original book until now. Because it is a facsimile edition, my assumption is that means it's going to be in exactly the same format as it was released originally without the digital recolors that Neal Adams so loved to do. So anyway, that's number one on my list. It's got a cover price of $14.99. And yeah, I told you I was over budget. That's a big part of the reason why. But the Superman versus Muhammad Ali facsimile edition 2024, if you are like me and you collect black comics, like, you got to have it. You just got to. $14.99. There's a bunch of covers that are all basically the same cover. There's a regular, there's a foil variant, and there's also a wraparound. So I'm going to try for the wraparound, but we'll see. $14.99. Now, since we're talking about DC Comics, there's only one other DC comic on my pull list this week, and that is Detective Comics issue 1088. This will be the penultimate issue of the Rom V run of Detective Comics. And I've told you guys before, I'm reading this book in chunks. I haven't read this in like 4 issues. So probably not going to read this one until the whole series wraps up with issue 1089. This is going to make an amazing omnibus. It was not my favorite month-to-month read, but your mileage will vary. Definitely some really solid storytelling though. And probably the best full run on Detective Comics since I got into comics in 2019. I got to do like a top 5 books since 2019. 5 years of comics, 5 years of reading, 5 best books. I think that's something I should do. Anyway, Detective Comics issue 1088 out this week. Cover price is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it. Those two DC comics are honestly quite expensive. They're going to cost me $20 this week. Now, let's skip on over to the indies. And speaking of indies, I got to give a huge shout out to my homie Damian Becton, who is still trying to raise some money on Kickstarter for The Few of Far Between. It's a sci-fi fantasy comic. It honestly sounds really cool. Sci-fi adventure with AI robots trying to take over the world. And honestly, you'll see more about it when you watch till the end of this video, because I'm going to put the trailer in there. But we're about 2 weeks away from the end of the campaign, and we're about halfway to the funding goal. So if you want to see this comic come to life, you got to buy it. Back to Kickstarter. Campaign information is in the description. Now, let's talk about the indie comics that are on my pull list this week. Starting with, from Concrete Comics, this is Acolyte issue number 6. Now, Acolyte is, when you talk about Black indie comics, Concrete is often the success story that's told. And they've been grinding away on the independent front for quite some time. Shout out to Lonzo Starr, who writes a lot of the Concrete comics and is the founder. But their sort of flagship title, Acolyte, just recently made its way into the direct market. So they did reprints of issues 1 through 4, and then they did an issue 5, and now we have issue 6 hitting the direct market. I have every issue except number 1. So I probably just need to go to Lonzo's website and grab that. But anyway, issue 6 is out this week. Cover price is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And now we've made it to the first book on the chopping block this week, and that is Biker Mice from Mars, issue number 2. I never got around to reading Biker Mice from Mars, issue number 1. I guess the nostalgia just wasn't quite as strong. Love the character designs. There are new toys in the stores, by the way, of the Biker Mice from Mars, and those look cool. But in a nostalgia-filled year, these just don't rise to the top of my list, so to speak. So I'll probably wait for a trade, but I'm not going to buy Biker Mice from Mars, issue number 2. And by refraining from buying that book, I'm going to save $5 this week. Next up, we got a series finale that I kind of forgot about. This is Disney Villains Cruella de Vil, issue number 5. Like I said, it's the finale of the miniseries brought to you by Dynamite Entertainment, written by Sweeney Boo, with art by Miriana Puglia, if I remember correctly. Honestly, man, the one drawback to this banner year that Dynamite has been having is that a lot of these books just are not coming out on time. I shouldn't say they're not coming out on time. I don't know what the pre-planned schedule was, but I would expect comics to come out monthly. And often these books are coming out like bi-monthly or semi-monthly, or whichever of those words means every other month. And so by the time we get to the end of a series, I'm already far behind, because once we skipped a month, it fell off my reading list. But anyway, all sins are forgiven when the book comes to trade, and I still enjoy it. So Disney Villains Cruella de Vil, issue number 5, out this week. Cover price is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, another indie book. This was among my most anticipated books this year, but from Massive Publishing, is I Lie, Popeye, issue number 1. This is written and drawn by Marcus Williams, aka Marcus the Visual. I did an interview with him a few months ago, back on the podcast to talk about this book specifically, and just how it came about from him doing character designs and fan art on the internet to being reached out to by the King Features Syndicate to actually expound on his Popeye versus Goku story. And now we've got I Lie, Popeye. It's blending the best of Eastern and Western comics, quite honestly, in a package that only Marcus Williams could deliver. They did a free comic book day issue, and I assume that issue is going to be the majority of what we see in here. If there was one drawback on that free comic book day issue, it is the fact that the lettering was really small. And I get it. Marcus Williams is an artist, and you want to focus on that art, and that art is beautiful. But we do still have to read the comic, and so I hope that that's a change that was made from the free comic book day issue up until now. But we shall see. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the Indie Comics pull list this week, also from Dynamite as part of the Disney license, is Darkwing Duck, Negaduck, issue number 7. This is written by Jeff Parker, and this is the final issue of Negaduck. Now, I quite enjoyed Negaduck for the first few issues, and then it kind of suffered the same fate as Cruella de Vil, so I'm not going to harp on that issue and the book not coming out, whatever. The point, though, being I'm excited that this is the end of the series. I'm excited to binge read it and read it kind of all in one sitting, which is me saying the same thing in two different ways, but whatever. Excited to binge read this and just enjoy the laughs. Jeff Parker is a great humor writer, and Negaduck is a great character. And one thing that he does in his series is really make Negaduck like the dark opposite of Darkwing in every way. And I thought that was really smart, a fun take on a really silly character. And again, I'm excited for this. This is also included in the Darkwing Duck Kickstarter collection that I did back. I don't know when that's coming, getting mailed to me, but I'm excited to see it. I guess we had to wait for these books to come out. So Justice Ducks just wrapped up last week. Now we got Negaduck wrapping up. And I guess we can start fulfilling these orders pretty soon. Shout out to Dynamite. Cover price on that one is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A, and that's it. That's the end of the indie comics on the pull list. As long as I stick to the list, those are going to cost me $18. And now it's time to head over to the House of Ideas and see what's popping over at Marvel Comics. There are several books on the pull list, and we're starting out with Fantastic Four, issue number 24, written by Ryan North. I think Ivan Fiorelli's on art this time around, but it feels like issue 23 just came out, and I actually looked it up before we started here because I'm not tripping. Issue 23 only came out 2 weeks ago, so now I don't feel as bad about not being caught up because are we putting out comics twice a month? Whatever. Fantastic Four issue 24 is out this week. Cover price is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up is the Marvel 85th anniversary special, because apparently Marvel is 85 years old this year. Why didn't we talk about it till October or August? I don't know, but hey, here we are at the 85th anniversary. This is going to be like one of those big anthology issues just celebrating the fact that Marvel's been around a bunch of years. Think like Marvel Comics 1000, and the only other book I can think of is Marvel Comics 1000 that has done something similar. But what I'm excited about this is it's an anthology featuring several different stories, several different creative teams, several different characters that you know and love. The story I'm most excited about finds writer and former editor Christopher Priest coming back to the Spider-Man office, doing a Spider-Man story with Carlo Pagulayan, who you know because this same team is who brought us the Deathstroke run during Rebirth, as well as Superman Lost, which just recently was nominated for an Eisner. Didn't win, but was a great series over at DC Comics. So now they're doing a Spider-Man story in the Marvel 85th anniversary special. And I'm hoping that that's just a tease of an amazing Spider-Man miniseries to come, but I have no idea. But anyway, the Marvel 85th anniversary special, yes, I am buying it for that one story at a cover price of $7.99. And I love the cover A, which I don't remember who does the cover A. I also have it sitting here on a short box. Kari Andrews does the cover A, and it is like, I don't know, it's Kari Andrews channeling his best Todd McFarlane, and he does a great job with it. So Kari Andrews does the cover A. The Black Man in Me wants to buy the Luciano Vecchio cover, and because that's like the blackest cover ever. Like, it's a wraparound cover, and just on the half of the wraparound, I spotted Monica Rambeau, Blade, Black Panther. What is happening? Monica Rambeau, Blade, Black Panther. I don't know what happened with my speakers. That was crazy. But anyway, bunch of black people on that cover. I don't know which cover I'm going to buy still. I'm undecided. But either way, I'm only buying one because the cover price is $7.99. Next up on the Marvel Comics pull list is Ultimate X-Men issue number 6. This is the final issue of the first story arc written and drawn by Peach Momoko. We're going to finally find out who the last member of the Ultimate X-Men team is and see them in a huge fight against this whole shadow monster thing. So that'll be fun. Cover price on that is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And next up, there's a lot of books on my pull list this week. Next up, though, is X-Force, issue number 2, written by friend of the channel, Jeff Thorne, with art by Marcus Toe. This sees Forge leading a team to stop like these world-ending events, like these literal cracks in the earth that are forming. And so he's traveling from place to place with his strike team to solve these world issues. This issue is going to see him and them in Wakanda. And so the cover even says X-Force versus the Black Panther. And listen, anytime Black Panther's in a book, I'm probably going to buy it. Anytime Jeff Thorne's writing a book, I'm probably going to buy it. This has 2 of those things happening, which means I'm definitely going to buy it. And I like the series. And Marcus Toe's art is amazing. Like, anyway, great book. X-Force number 2 out this week. Cover price is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book, we finally reached the last book on the pull list. This is X-Men, issue number 3, written by Jed MacKay, art by Ryan Stegman. And this whole X-Men era has definitely been an adjustment period for me. And I feel like no title makes that adjustment period more evident than X-Men by Jed MacKay. It's not a bad book. It has just gone from like the really ambitious storytelling we had in the Krakoa era and like what Hickman set up and all of that to like more standard comic fare where it's not bad, but it's just like, I don't know, it's going back to like one title being one thing. And if you like that title, you buy that title. And I guess that sounds great, right? But it's just been an adjustment in my head. This book, though, I've been enjoying it. Basically, like in the aftermath of Krakoa, like something is going on. People are like finding, or do I want to spoil that? The point is, X-Men is finding themselves acting a lot more like the Marauders did during the Krakoa era, where they're going and trying to like rescue mutants, specifically mutants that are just coming into their mutant abilities. And that's typically supposed to happen when you're like 13, 14, right? It's happening with grown people, like adults, like mature adults. And so it's an interesting twist, and we're trying to figure out why that is the case. But I think I'm just trying to get over like the art. The art style makes this book feel a lot more cartoony than the synopsis I just gave you might make it sound. It sounds really serious, and you know, it is. But the art like does not give serious. It just gives like, hey, are you nostalgic for the 90s? Cool. We are too. So I don't know. I love Ryan Stegman. Something about these character designs is not quite doing it for me, but the story is good enough that I'm sticking with it through issue number 3. Cover price on it is $4.99. And I'm probably not grabbing cover A for this one. There's a Joel Jones cover that is really, really good. Like, it's sick to me. And then there's a Mahmoud Asrar cover that's even better. And I think what makes it even better for me is the sort of classic X-Men logo versus the X with the word men under it. That's a dumb thing to be excited about. But the point is, I like both of those covers more than I like the cover A. So I'm probably not going to buy the cover A. I'll figure it out when I get to the shop. Anyway, that's going to do it for the Marvel Comics on the pull list this week. And as long as I stick to the list, and God knows I should, cover price on those will bring me up to $26 this week. So for those of you taking count at home, my grand total before taxes and before my 10% subscriber discount at Fight or Flight Comics is going to be $64, which means I am $14 over budget. How am I going to get under budget this week? Perhaps the simplest answer to that would be, don't buy the Superman and Muhammad Ali reprint, dummy. But I'm absolutely buying that book. So I don't know if I don't know what kind of weird accounting I'm going to have to do to make myself feel better about being over budget this week. but there's no way around it. I'm going to be over budget, and that's just that. But that does mean I'm not going to have any room to buy any of these new number ones that are on the radar. There are so many new number ones coming out this week. I've only written down half of them, and I'm still thinking of spinning them out into a separate video because this video is already too long. But let's just go rapid fire. From Archie Comics, we got Archie the Decision, number 1. It's a one-shot written by Tom King, and he really, really wants you to know that Archie's not really making a decision, which I guess kind of blows the whole marketing for this out of the water. But I guess we don't want another repeat of The Wedding, right? Next up, Aliens vs. Avengers, number 1 from Marvel Comics. It's Jonathan Hickman and Esad Ribic drawing the Avengers and drawing aliens with them. By the way, Archie the Decision is $3.99. This one is $7.99, and for that reason, it's going to stay right there on the shelf. Next up, Berserker, The Lost Book of B, issue number 1. I think it's written by Matt Kent. They're doing a bunch of Berserker one-shots, and Berserker is just the thing that won't go away, apparently. $9.99 on that. Chasm, Curse of Cain, number 1. Hot take, I kind of like Ben Reilly as Chasm. It's Hallows Eve that I just can't stand, but whatever. Ben Reilly is Chasm, and apparently he's in another book with a different Spider clone. We'll see how that goes. $4.99 on that. Next up, a cool little sci-fi fantasy book that I saw a preview of on Comic Hub. It's this Convert, issue number 1 by John Arcudi and Savannah Finley. $3.99 on that from Image Comics. Next up, Liefeld Gonna Liefeld. This is Deadpool Team Up number 1. He's writing and drawing it, and it's Deadpool with all your favorite other Marvel characters. Should be a fun ride with absolutely no feet in sight. $4.99, on that. Next up, from Mad Cave Studios, this is Flash Gordon Quarterly, number 1. Obviously, we're going to get these every quarter. It's an anthology. Lewis Southard is on this one. A lot of writers are on it. Dennis Culver, I believe, as well. The point is, if you don't want to jump into the ongoing Flash Gordon, then pick up this quarterly and you'll enjoy it just as much without the commitment. $5.99 on that. Next up, another anthology for those who don't want to continue the ongoing saga. Phases of the Moon Knight, number 1 from Marvel Comics. $4.99 on that. Different writers for each issue. Jed McKay's taking issue 2. Can't remember who's on issue 1 though. Love that cover though. Next up is Sesame Street, issue number 1. I had to shout out Sesame Street because I got a 3-year-old who is absolutely going to read it, which means I probably got to buy 2 copies, one for me and one for her. I'm really grabbing this because with issue 2, Stephanie Williams is going to be writing it. And I obviously could just buy issue 2, but I'm probably going to pick up issue 1 as well. That's going to be $3.99. And the last one I'm going to shout out is from DC Comics, the 0 Hour 30th anniversary special. Dan Jurgens is writing this. They recently did like the Doomsday 30th anniversary special. And I think this is going to be the same sort of deal where you're revisiting that world, telling a new story set in the 90s. So Kyle Rayner versus Parallax. If you liked that the first time, maybe you'll like this one too. It's going to cost you $10. And for that reason, it's staying on the shelf, but you might enjoy it. And that's it. Those are all the new number 1s that are on the radar that I wanted to shout out. A lot more new number 1s coming out this week, though. Those are just the ones I highlighted. So definitely go to your LCS, spend some time browsing the shelves. You might find something that you really, really like that wasn't on your radar before. Speaking of things on the radar, it's a terrible segue. The point is I'm ending this video. Let me know what you're grabbing in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in another one real soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, read something dope today, and enjoy this trailer for Damian Becton's The Few of Far Between, issue number 1. Peace.